just think that's going to be great. Just about everyone enjoys a good book, and why not? Books have the ability to transform our surrounding. They can inspire, educate, and amuse. They can cause us to think about things in new ways, and they can even help us to solve problems. Hi, I'm Nancy Noyes, and you're watching Bella Vista and Beyond. I'm excited that both of my authors live and write in Northwest Arkansas. My first guest is Doug Godsman, who hails from Scotland. With his delightful brogue, he will tell us about his trilogy of books. Welcome to Bella Vista and Beyond, Doug.
My privilege to be here.
So, I know that you were born in Scotland. Could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, well, not giving too much away, but I was born during the Second World War.
Oh.
And so on a sheep farm in the middle of nowhere, and spent most of my time in Aberdeen and high school in the county of Perth. The county of Perth is where the Outlander series was filmed. My family was a entering middle class family, and I have an elder brother who passed away a year past Christmas Eve.
Oh.
And so I am with my partner Phyllis, and my two children Jen and Neil are in the audience here, and I'm delighted to be here with you and be with them.
Oh, great. Well, I told you that I have Scottish ancestry myself, the Elliott clan.
Yes.
And I'm wearing my clan badge here as well.
Yes.
So, when did you come to the United States and why?
Well, my first wife and I were living in London. She was a phys ed teacher and an international athlete, and I was working in one of the department store groups, and we'd been skiing in Austria. Came back from there over the Easter weekend, and there was a lot of dust in our house because our landlady had had the builders in. So under the dust that on the chair, on the table, was a letter from my university buddy, Dave Henderson. And he had just arrived in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I still remember the first sentence of the letter. Doug, before I say anything else, let me shout out loud that Vancouver is a magnificent part of the world. And he went on to talk about the scenery and the money you could make, and the sailing and the money you could make, and so on and so on. So we were kind of tired of London, and we thought this would be a good adventure and help us get towards our goal, which was to live in New Zealand. And so we wrote back saying, yes, thanks, Dave. We arrived on August 24th, and that's what we did. So I was in Canada for 30 years. So I'm actually a Spokane Clarkimo, a Scottish, Canadian, California, Arkansas, Missourian. And so that gives me lots of perspectives on different ways of life. So the reason was adventure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'd like to talk about your first book, Highland Justice.
Yes.
It's an exciting adventure taking place on 2 continents. How did you get the ideas for the plot of your book?
Well, once again, it wasn't something that I had specifically planned. I have had for a long time now, I've thought our society is breaking down because our families are so widely spread. There's my children from Canada here, don't see them nearly enough. We used to get the family stories, the family history at grandma's lunchtime table on Sundays, right? And so, and that's where you got all the gossip and you got all the news and helped to bind you a bit tighter. Uncle Jim's out of jail now, and Harry's off the wagon again, watch out for him. But and somebody's got a promotion, so it's not all bad. So I thought, well, I can't do the lunchtime thing, but I can write my memoirs. Now, I was quite aware that my children may not read them as thoroughly as perhaps I would like. They think they know everything about me. I certainly hope they don't. And so I started writing my memoirs and discovered I was going to be very rich because it was an instant cure for insomnia. And so I thought, well, I better get some practice in writing. Took a couple of classes at Northwest Arkansas Community College. And my favorite professor there was Dr. Lindsay Hutton. And one of the classes I took from her was a short story class. And there was, I was there for a term. I had to do a term paper, which was a short story. Turned it in at the end of the term, and she came to me and said, you know, Doug, you could get this published. What? Published? Nah, really? So I thought, well, I'm not going to expand on this story because it's a story about a fisherman in the North Sea of between Scotland and Germany. But I would like to write something about Ellis Island. I've been to Ellis Island. It was one of the most amazing events of my life. I can still get the hair in the back of my neck stand up when I think about it. And there's 12 million people went through Ellis Island. 12 million stories. And so I thought, okay, that's how I'm going to start writing, and that's the beginning of the first book.
Oh, that's great. Well, how would you describe this book? What is it about?
Well, it's a historical adventure with G-rated romance. You've got to be specific nowadays. So it starts in Bonnie, Scotland, as you may have guessed, in 1905, and Bella, the young beauty on the front there, very close in looks to my daughter over there. She and her family are about to emigrate to America, and the night before they leave, the village they live in throws a farewell party, a ceilidh, and there across a crowded ceilidh, Bella spies Sir David, the second son of the local lord. Eyes meet, sparks fly, da 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 da. But what's the point? She's leaving for America the next day. Well, it takes me 3 books to tell you what the point is. But really, the first book is the true story, what happened to the immigrants coming across. If you saw the movie Titanic, pure Hollywood fantasy, but this has got the good, the bad, and the ugly as to all the things that go on the voyage, on the ship, and in Ellis Island as well. So the first book deals with, I should say that Sir David, by the magic of fiction, keeps popping up on regular occasions. So anyway, so that's the first of the 3 books.
I was really surprised about the conditions on the ocean liner going across to America. I had no idea that they were that terrible.
Yeah.
And it was quite an eye-opener, really was.
Well, I touch on that in the first book, something that's not in this first book because it's so disgusting. The single men were roomed in rooms of about 150 each.
Yes, you say that in your book, actually.
A bucket in the corner, a couple of portholes for air, no showers, no deodorant, and they were seasick for 3 days.
Oh,
so can you imagine how horrible that would have been?
yes.
So it was awful. And as I say, it's realistic.
Oh, absolutely. Can you read a passage from your book?
I will. I'll actually read a couple. One that you like and one that I like.
Okay.
This is Sir David he'd been hunting in the hills, and he's coming down to the village of Balboyne. There had been a shower in mid-afternoon, and the grey granite cottages of Balboyne shone and shimmered, the sunset reflecting off the mica embedded in the stone. Substantial were these 100 or so wee homes, sturdy and enduring, with smoke rising from the chimneys over the coal cooking fires. From David's vantage point above the river, he saw the Dee winding around the village like the horseshoe on a smithy's wall, the spire of the Presbyterian kirk acting as the nail from which the horseshoe hung. And then the other one, which you're familiar with, I'm sorry, I've lost my place.
Oh, that's okay. Just read any part then, because your writing is all very descriptive and very compelling, I found.
Good. Thank you so much for.
It's true.
So this next bit it will follow on from the bit that I just read.
Okay,
So
fine.
the spire of the Presbyterian kirk acting as the nail from which the horseshoe hung. They, it's Sir David and Tam, his best friend, and Gilly and gamekeeper and all of the above, they heard music long before they came to the rise of the bridge. Tam, what's going on? It sounds like a sizable event. I've no idea, Sir David. I'll find out if you wish. No, let them be. It's been a hard year, what with the miserable weather and the poor harvest. They've earned some relief. We'll take the back path so we don't disturb. His voice trailed off. Tam looked round and saw David's eyes transfixed on the woman standing by the bridge's approach, and for good reason. Tam had never seen a more beautiful girl here in Balboyne. In fact, he was hard-pressed to remember any woman who might best her. She had the wavy raven hair from her Celtic forebears and startling grey eyes. Her skin was flawless, too tanned to be fashionable, but vibrant and healthy, as was her form, well-defined, slim yet strong. Tam judged her to be 17 and almost too young to realize how attractive she was. She flashed an impish smile, and David was smitten. Irrefutably, irrevocably, permanently smitten.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, I really see the resemblance between your daughter and Bella. Very similar.
Yes, I
So-
am sure my psyche was working overtime on that one.
Well, you recently spoke at the Village Lake Writers Society. So what was that experience like for you?
Well, as I've started writing and reading my books and so on, I realized that I really am a ham. And so I enjoy speaking in front of people, and now I can say I enjoy speaking on TV, which was a first for me. And the thing, as I was saying earlier on, I'm amazed by all these subcultures that we live in. So for example, are in a writing subculture. Then there's a golfing subculture and so on. And the more subcultures you're part of, the busier you are, the less lonely you are, and the better it is for us old folk.
Right.
So I enjoy talking with them immensely. They're a good group of people.
That's wonderful. Could we see the pictures of the Village Lake publishers?
Okay, that's me at the farmer's market in Bella Vista.
Right. So I know that your book is self-published. What was that process like for you?
Well, it was better than the regular way. When I finished my first book, of course, I'm ready to get it published and hit the bestseller list, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I approached several authors, publishing houses, and their comment was normally pretty good. Yeah, we would like to read this, probably be in a couple of years. And I thought, really? I've just finished this. I want instant reaction, and I'm not going to wait for that long. So I started going down the self-publishing route. And a couple of things. There's a software called Pro Writing Aid that I use, which really helps you in the editing and the spacing and such like. And you use the same word 20 times in 2 paragraphs sort of thing. So it was really helpful that way. And then you get into the KDP, Kindle, Amazon software, and they again can help you with formatting and such like. So the first 2 books were relatively easy for me to do, change software in the middle. But the 3rd book was an absolute bugbear for me. It was, maybe it was the operator error, keep on recurring, I'm really not sure, but it really was very stressful. Anyhow, the book's out and I'm happy with it, and it's got good reviews, and so I'm pleased. So you have to be aware that, yeah, if you go to a full-time publisher, you may have to wait a long time to see even their comments about it. So if I next time I write, I'll go the self-publishing route again.
Well, I think that that's really a great way to go. And so, as you describe the process, it seems complicated, but not all that difficult. So I appreciate that. Would you encourage other people to become self-published?
Well, I encourage everybody to think about writing something,
Yeah.
whether it's a blog, a book, a website, whatever it might be. And how far you push that, whether within the family or nobody sees it, or you want to give it out to the public, self-publishing gives that relatively instant feedback. And
That's really
I
good.
found that to be very rewarding.
Well, I think that self-publishing is very inspiring. A lot of us have things that we would like to say, but like you said, waiting to be published, even if you can get published, it's a time-consuming process.
Yes.
So I must say I enjoyed reading Highland Justice tremendously, and I can't wait to read your other two.
Right.
So your other two books, do they pick up where Highland Justice leaves off?
Same
or
character.
are they completely different?
They pick up where Highland Justice left off. So it's the same characters. They start in the same place, which that book started in Scotland, ended in New York City.
Yeah.
The next book picks up in New York City, and St. Louis is involved, and San Francisco is involved, and a place called Rush, Arkansas, which is a ghost town on the Buffalo River. In 1905, it was a booming mining town, and David's got to go there and wrestle the ownership of a mine from a Bernie Madoff character who swindled David's father out of his family mines.
Well, that sounds very interesting as well. What motivates you to write?
Once I start something, it may take me a long time to finish. These books took me about a couple of years to write, and that's Stephen King's fault. Stephen King said that the internet is the most useful tool for a writer. But he forgot to add that it's also the biggest time waster. Because you get up in the morning, or I get up in the morning, I'll look at something, I think, I need to check that out. So I get on the internet, check it out. Oh, I didn't know that. And you keep on checking things out, and end of the day comes, you haven't done a thing. So I don't know why I got started on that, but anyhow. Motivates me to write. Once I get started on things, it's something that hangs over me until I finish. Now, there are professional writers who get up in the morning and they've got 3,000 words to write before they can quit, or they're going to write from 9 till 5 or whatever. I'm not like that, and I find that I write kind of visually, and what I mean by that is I might have a thought as to what's going on, and I'll start writing about that, and then it'll just fill in on its own. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. And I think a lot of people share your addiction with the internet. So
Yes.
it's so interesting, and there's so many ways that it can lead.
Yeah.
Well, you've dedicated your first book to your wife Phyllis and your children. What do your children think of the book?
I'm waiting for responses from the cheap seats over there. They're big fans, they say.
Big fans.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
They're staying with me, so they have to say
As well
that.
they should be. So.
No, they've been very supportive,
Oh,
and
excellent.
it's a pleasure writing and knowing that something that I've done will stay within the family.
Yes, I think that is just terrific.
Yeah.
So what was your greatest satisfaction in writing your books? Or seeing your books in print, I guess.
Well, I remember very, very clearly to this day me getting my first draft copy of my book, and opening up the paper, bringing out the book, and there it is. I've created this, and that's amazing, a feeling. And for all you would-be writers out there, I absolutely encourage you to continue to do that. I think the second thing was some of the workshops that I've done, and people with Scottish heritage would come back and talk to me. I did a lot of workshops in Montana one summer when I was staying there in a fifth wheel with Phyllis. And of course there were Scottish games, and so they were my audience, my people, and they couldn't believe just how much it made them feel back at home again. And so that was a great feeling. And that's being chosen as being the artist of the month by the city of Bella Vista, and that was a great honor as well, and being here the same.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thank you, Doug, for a very fascinating discussion. You've encouraged me to publish my own book as well, so really appreciate your being here. Stay tuned. Next up, we will talk with Sofia Bartmus, who has written a book about her pet. So, how do you feel being here on the set? Pretty good?
Yeah,
Chairs are comfortable, aren't they?
they are.
So,
It's very nice.
Great.
And it's nice and warm.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the show, Sophia.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome. I understand you have a very interesting background. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I was born and raised in Istanbul, Turkey. And when I was about 12 years old, we moved to Sweden. And after that, when I was 17, we moved to Los Angeles. So it was interesting. It was not easy always because, you had to leave behind your friends and make new friends and learn new languages, new cultures that you were exposed to and everything. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh.
And 2 years ago, we moved to Bella Vista, Galen and I, my husband, and we love it here.
It's a great place, isn't it?
It is. I wish we would have done it sooner, but here we are.
I think that's how we all feel. Could we see the pictures of the Blue Mosque outside? And there we have one of the famous symbols of Turkey
Yes.
in Istanbul.
Yes.
And I shot that when I was there. I love that
Beautiful.
picture. And the inside, there they are. The men are praying. And I just think that is wonderful. I love that. So I understand that you were heavily influenced by the Greek culture. Could you share some of that with us?
Well, my parents were Greek. My father is Albanian, my mom Greek. So yes, I remember as a little girl, we always went to church. I went with my mom. And Istanbul is a very historical place. It's got a lot of mosques and churches and everything. So we used to visit different churches. Of course, the food, the Greek food, my mom cooked, and my aunt, baklava and other, dishes that we loved. So I remember that. And so in the 50s and 60s, we had a lot of Greek people there. I mean, it's an international metropolitan place, so all kinds of cultures. But back then, there were a lot of Greeks, and so we would visit friends and relatives. But after that, most of them left. They emigrated either to Greece or to other countries. So, and then we came, we left as well. So I remember all these Greek things that we did, holidays, Christian holidays and everything. So it was fun.
Other than baklava, what was your favorite Greek dish?
Oh, wow. Well, one of the things that my mom was very good at is making grape leaves, stuffed grape leaves, and all my friends loved it. So anytime they would come over, they'd ask, is your mom going to make the dolmas?
Yes, I was going to say, are they called dolmas?
Yes,
yes.
So.
Right, well, that is wonderful. So I understand that you have written a wonderful book called Paws of Wisdom. Tell us about it.
Thank you. Well, it's an inspirational book. It's a self-help book in a way. It is the story of our dog, Bunny, who at 2 years old, she had some health issues. She was diagnosed with Addison's disease. And because of that, she was always on medications and shots she had to take every 28 days. And so we kind of did everything around her appointment, so to speak. So it's a little story about her and how good she was. When she had good days, she would take advantage of that, and we'd play with her and do things. And then she had some bad days when she was in the hospital a few times. And so it's a little bit of story about that. I have a lot of quotes in the book because I enjoy reading quotes from different people. And so she has, you know, I have a lot of these quotes from all around the world, or the Bible, or Chinese proverbs and different things. So, and some little illustrations and cartoons. So it kind of is a light book to read. It's very easy reading.
I think the quotations can be very inspiring, don't you?
Absolutely. And I enjoy them because they're easy to read and understand,
Yeah.
and apply to your life.
How did you happen to name your dog Bunny?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. She was 6 weeks old when we got her, and she was really tiny little thing, and it was around Easter, so we kept joking that she was our Easter bunny. And then the name kind of stuck. We thought, oh, that sounds like a good name.
Oh, that's great. Well, what caused you to want to be a writer?
Well, I always thought it would be fun to write, but I didn't necessarily know what to write about, what topic. And I remember it was in early 2004, was early morning, like 3, 4 in the morning one day, and I woke up, and all of it, I couldn't go back to sleep. And all of a sudden, it's like I started having these thoughts and ideas about writing a book. And I always felt that it was a message from God. I mean, you know, so I started writing down everything so I wouldn't forget in the morning.
Right.
So that's kind of how it started, and then it evolved, you know, from that.
Right. Wow. Well, how did you get the idea of writing about your dog, of all things?
Well, you know, looking back after she passed away, you know, looking back at her life, I felt that she had taught me a lot of lessons,
Yeah.
you know, and they were worthwhile to share with people, you know, and if people wanted to make a positive change in their lives, they could do that. So that's kind of how I
That
came to
sounds
do it.
amazing. And I agree with you. It probably was a God thing. He was inspiring you to create that book.
Yes, yes.
So I enjoyed it
think
very
so.
much. I thought it was just a wonderful book. I
Thank
really
you.
did. So tell us about it. What are some of the sections in the book that you have created?
Well, the book is kind of like, say, you know, you go, how should we live our lives, and how can we improve our lives daily? How can we be better today than we were yesterday? You know, so there are different things in the book about, like I say, what is a bad day? You know, I mean, we can have a bad day and make it a good day. You know, it's all how our attitude is about it.
True.
You know, and the book covers a lot of things like how we should be careful and control our anger, or how we should live our lives and be not living with regrets. You know, do what you can every single day, and you know, in between a lot of other little things. But that's just the main thing of the book is we're never too old to change, and we're never too old to learn things, and we can learn from everybody, whether it's our pets or friends or family. And every little thing that we learn can make a change, a positive change in our lives.
And that's so true. I think it was very well put by you, really.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And I agree. I think you can learn a lot from your pets, and as you have, and that's just a very important reminder to us, I think.
Well, one of the things was like her unconditional love. Whether we yelled
Yes.
at her or told her no, or you know, whatever it was, she didn't understand. We took her to the vet, and she didn't want to be there, but it was for her good, you know.
Right.
So, but her unconditional love, that we need to do it with other people, which is
Yes.
very hard to do sometimes.
Sometimes it is. Well, who will most enjoy your book other than myself?
Well, the book is really for anybody from age 8 to 90, you know. And I've had people write notes to me and letters and reviews, and they say, oh, like my 9-year-old picked it up. and she couldn't put it down. She read it in 2 days, and she enjoyed the cartoons and the little illustrations and funny things I have in there. But then also I think the older people enjoy it because they see the value, I think, in the quotes.
Yes.
And the source that some of the wisdom has come from. So it's for anybody, really.
Really, that's great. Do you have some comments from people that you'd like to share
I
with us?
did bring a few if you'd like me
Yes,
to
I'd
read
love
them.
to read them.
Okay, here's one. This person said, "This is a very enjoyable read for all members of the family. Both families with 4-legged members and those with only 2-legged members will enjoy this book." Another one says, "Your book had it all. Cute story filled with great warmth, good life lessons, information, adorable drawings, great quotes. Sometimes I smiled and sometimes I cried. It's an easy read that made me think and want to do better." And that's the whole point of writing the book. If we can do that, if I can get that message out, that's what is important. Here's another one. "The world would be a better place if pause graced every household, and let that be your goal." So it gives me encouragement that it was worth writing it. You know,
It
so,
very much was worth writing. It
Yeah.
really was. So what are some valuable lessons that Bunny taught you?
Well, there are quite a few, but I would say the greatest thing that she taught me was, like I say, the unconditional love that she had, and for me to strive to be more loving to people. And then the other one was take each day as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be flexible, I think, and we have to be, we need to adapt to different circumstances in different environments in order to survive. And she was a trooper, and she really was a survivor. So.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Could you read some of your favorite parts of the book?
Yeah, I could. I have a couple of them here. As we went out there, you know, marketing our book and everything, we ran across a lot of people saying that they have anger issues, which was very surprising. I mean, I didn't realize how many people do. And we all get angry at times. But so one of my chapters, Control Your Anger, and I'll read a few quotes. "Anger is a stone thrown at a wasp's nest," which is an American proverb. And I'm thinking, we've had a lot of wasp nests, and you don't want to throw anything in there. And Ecclesiastics from the Bible, 7:9, says, "Don't be quick-tempered, for anger is the friend of fools." We often lose our temper without evaluating the situation calmly. We end up doing or saying the wrong thing. We react. Afterwards, we feel guilty and bad about our behavior, but it is too late. Studies have shown that when we get mad and lose our temper, we actually cause real damage to ourselves. Our mental state produces our physical problems. Our body chemistry changes. If we could always keep our minds in harmony, our bodies would not be sick. Therefore, when we allow our emotions to get out of hand, we actually poison our bodies. And Confucius says, when anger rises, think of the consequences. And I have to throw in a Bunny advice,
Absolutely.
a Bunny's wisdom. She says, avoid biting when a simple growl will do.
So true. That was wonderful.
Isn't
I really
it though?
enjoyed it.
I know. You want me to read one more?
Sure, why
Okay.
not?
Well, this one is living your life so that you will not have any regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what you want to do a little along the way and don't put things off. There will never be a perfect moment. Don't put yourself in a position where you look back and say, I wish I had. Instead, be in a position to say, I'm glad I did. Do not procrastinate. And we all procrastinate. I know I do. It says, do it now. Do it when you can. Don't wait. There could come a time when you won't be able to. And Bunny says, Bunny's wisdom, any trip is better than the one I didn't take.
So true. Well, who will what was the greatest challenge in writing your book?
Well, it was a new area for me. I had never done this before, so that was a challenge. It wasn't writing it. That was the easy part. But it was just learning what to do next, how to publish it, market it, get it out there to the audience, so to speak. That was, I think, the most challenging part.
Right. Well, what has been your greatest satisfaction of seeing your book in print?
Well, two things. One, obviously, accomplishing the accomplishment of finishing the book.
Yes.
And then most, besides that, it was the encouraging notes that I got from people, the good reviews I got from people. And the most validating thing to me is when people have bought the book and reading it halfway and they go, can I get 2 more? I want to give one to my brother. I want to give one to my daughter or a friend, and so on. And that was satisfying. And the book also has given me the opportunity to use it as a fundraiser times for causes that we value, Galen and I.
Yes.
So we use it for that as well.
Wonderful. Well, I enjoyed reading your book tremendously. I really did.
Thank you.
It was lively and fun and filled with paws of wisdom.
Thank you.
I also liked your humorous illustrations that you talked about a little bit earlier. That was a lot of fun to see them. So do you plan to write another book about another topic?
Well, I never know the future. You can never tell, so stay tuned. I may have some ideas. I don't know.
I hope so. So would you encourage others to be self-published?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to do it, do it. And today, like Doug was saying, there are so many new ways of doing it, so many tools on the internet. So I think it's a lot easier to do it now than when I did it, because that was just starting out. But if they want to do it, go for it.
Go for it. Okay. Well, that's encouraging. So what are some of the things that you personally value most in life?
Well, there are a lot of things, but I treat people as you would want to be treated, and treat everyone with respect, I think, is one of my things. And again, don't quit, keep going, and things always work out.
Yeah.
They
do have a way of doing that. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think we covered a lot of things, but maybe just make sure that you develop healthy relationships with God, with your family, with your friends, because there are a lot of toxic relationships out there, and we can always change that.
Right.
So just keep striving to be better.
Excellent. So, Sofia, thank you so much for sharing your paws of wisdom with us. It's a great read, and I know many people will enjoy it.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Remember, you can watch this show on YouTube starting this afternoon. Just go to YouTube, search Bella Vista Community TV, then Bella Vista and Beyond, and the date of the show, January 11th, 2023. I'd like to thank the City of Bella Vista and the Property Owners Association for their generous support. We couldn't keep the cameras rolling without you. We also appreciate our silver supporters, Becky Parmalee of Homestead Creations and Lisa Marutka of Three Wishes Travel. Don't forget, we're all volunteers here, and we have bills to pay. If you value this local TV station and the wonderful programming available, you can definitely help us. Text the word DONATE to 479-269-9426 to keep the cameras rolling. This will take you directly to the donation page. Don't forget, we're all volunteers here, and we have bills to pay. So once again, please donate as you can. Or you can send a check to BVC TV, 1801 Forest Hills Boulevard, Suite 203, Bella Vista, Arkansas, 72715. Be sure to include your name, address, email, and phone number so we can thank you. See you in February for another inspiring edition of Bella Vista and Beyond. I'm Nancy Noyes.